1 second. Before I even start, I'm going to say this again. Parental advisory, explicit content. If you don't agree with the video, go to someone you can agree with. Thank you for visiting me on YouTube. Today we're going to talk about missing white woman syndrome, or better yet, we can call this phrase missing pretty girl syndrome. It's a phrase that's been coined by media critics in order to assess the ongoing coverage of missing people stories and how the mainstream media fails to cover missing men, missing minorities, and focus on other stories other than soft stories like these. The whole thing about the media is simple. I am no way supporting corporate-owned media. The corporate-owned media puts on stories in order to drive up fear, drive up ratings, drive up sensationalism, racism, and ageism, sexism, and just tabloid garbage.
In the Circuit Court for the 9th Judicial Circuit in and for Orange County, Florida, State of Florida versus Casey Marie Anthony. As to case number 2008 CF 15606-0. As to the charge of first-degree murder, verdict as to count 1, we the jury find the defendant not guilty, so say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, on this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of aggravated child abuse, verdict as to count 2, we the jury find the defendant not guilty, so say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of aggravated manslaughter of a child, verdict as to count 3, we the jury find the defendant not guilty, so say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of providing false information to a law enforcement officer, verdict as to count 4. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of providing false information to a law enforcement officer as charged in the indictment. So say we all, dated Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of providing false information to a law enforcement officer, verdict as to count 5. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of providing false information to a law enforcement officer as charged in the indictment. So say we all, dated Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of providing false information to a law enforcement officer, verdict as to count 6. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of providing false information to a law enforcement officer as charged in the indictment. So say we all, dated Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of providing false information to a law enforcement officer, verdict is to count 7. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of providing false information to a law enforcement officer as charged in the indictment. So say we all, dated Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson.
Once again, I'm giving you my honest, unapologetic opinion about an issue facing my community, the government, and of course the corrupt mainstream media. To the many subscribers, the many friends, and the supporters of my videos, I want to say thank you once again. Without your support, I wouldn't be doing this. Now, let me tell you something. For those who have watched the Casey Anthony trial and those who are getting the emotional reactions to the verdict, I want you to understand that it's okay. Get it out of your system. Get your anger or your celebration. Get it out of your system. Let me tell you something. I didn't care about Casey Anthony. I didn't care about the trial. I didn't care about the verdict. All I want to know is that, can we please move on from the media circus down in Orlando, Florida? The young woman who was accused of killing her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee, had drawn all these celebrity journalists from Greta Van Susteren, Nancy Grace, Geraldo Rivera, Dr. Phil, and many others to this Orlando courtroom to deal with her fate, which was life or death, and to get all these emotional reactions from talk radio to the blogs to people who are watching me on YouTube. It's just frustrating. It's how the mainstream media has dumbed down Americans. Instead of learning to understand that you're innocent until proven guilty, it's trial by media, where everybody has an opinion and they assume automatically that this woman was guilty of killing this child. Maybe she may have been guilty in your opinion, but that's not what the jury found in Casey Anthony. They found her innocent. They found her not guilty. There is nothing else. Oh yeah, you're probably thinking that she's going to get away with murder. That's fine. That's your opinion. But the thing is that we need to keep it civil. Instead of throwing around all these baby killers and all these death threats to the jury, the defense attorney, to the family of Casey Anthony, why don't we study law for once? Instead of us jumping to conclusions like we did with the French IMF ex-bank leader, I want you to understand that as an American and as a person who understands what's going on in my community and also has criticism of the media, why don't we just turn it off? Okay, now you got a taste of what I've talked about in the past. Now I want you to understand this. Americans are reactionary. Americans jump to conclusions. Americans believe trial by media. They believe that anybody who commits an act is guilty regardless of the evidence, regardless of their innocence, and regardless of the substantial amount of time being wasted by watching it.